Okay, let me make sure I'm online. Okay. Hello, I'm Alex from A.P. Ink. So today I'm going to be picking up where I left off last time, which was working on these designs, which admittedly I should probably just call this a fail and move on, but I don't know. I kind of want to see where this ends up. So I've got this reference of Easter eggs. I'm going to give you the same. Whoop. Sorry, let me grab the right reference. Okay, so same reference. So last time I was having a bit of trouble putting marker on this paper, which I have used marker on this paper before, as shown here. So I'm not sure why I'm having trouble with it now, but I think I'm gonna lay out colors on the next couple and then work on the ones that I've already got ink on, just to give the paper a chance to dry before I start drawing on it. So I think I'll do one dark blue light. Right after I find it. Okay, purple. Maybe this pale green. My finger's stuck somewhere. Okay, I think maybe this pale lavender color. It feels wet. I don't know what I'm feeling. I think one more, and then I'll try to fill in the patterns. So I'd like to do one just yellow, like this one here. I think has green spots and blue flowers, maybe, I'm not sure. But the only yellow I have is this pastel yellow, which I think is too faint. So maybe we'll do this BK9. So a bit more of an orange tone. Okay. So I think I'm gonna see how this looks if I just use white gel pen on top of these patterns, or on top of the colors. So this one is going to be modeled after this one. So I already put lines. I'm gonna go over the lines and try to put in dots to try to emulate the details here. Okay, and then I'm gonna give that a minute to dry. I should have marked this out first, but I'm gonna, I think, mark maybe quarter spots, so every 1/4 of an inch. For this one though, I don't know of any black Easter eggs. Not that they're not out there, but I think they tend to be a bit more colorful. Okay, let me find the center first, I think. Okay, so this is about a 1/2 inch space. Okay, so there's the tiniest of marks right there. And I want to make sure I'm straight, so I'm going to try to do the same thing over here. So when I put my ruler across, it's straight across. Okay, so every 1/4 inch. Okay, so those all are not obviously clear, so I'm going to go over those to try to make them bigger. Which I think in the reference, I'm not sure what they're supposed to be. Which again, to say that this is I don't know if that's accurate, but some of these shapes don't make sense. To me, at least. Like some of them look like they're round and others almost look like tiny butterfly wings, for lack of being able to describe them better. Okay. I'm gonna let that dry, just so I don't potentially smear anything. I'm kind of inspired to try to make this black square kind of look like this egg. So it's got kind of a lattice with um almost like a trellis like this, and then flowers. So if I did that, maybe an inch and then a 1/4 inch for the trellis. So a lattice up here, trellis here, and then I'll do spaced out flowers. Okay, and then I think to give 1/4 inch marks again for the construction of the lattice. So I'm going to try to be as small as I can with these indicator lines, dots, whatever. Okay, coming back to this one. Continuing my complaint about AI. It's actually hard to tell. See, that's like a hole in the egg. That doesn't make any sense. And this pattern, I don't know. Okay, I think it almost looks like there's some kind of, I don't know, I want to say like viney line. So just maybe if I'm soft enough with the pencil, I can draw over it with the white gel pen and try to duplicate a kind of viney line. That was a 2H pencil. probably should have actually measured this out. White on yellow is not the best design option. Okay, give that a minute to dry. So I've already got 1/4 inch marks here. I'm gonna put the same 1/4 inch marks here. And then I think I was gonna say to split this in half. I guess that's 3/4 inch. Yeah, I guess that is 3/4 inch. Um, so to try to find the center. Make sure I'm doing this the same. Okay. I think 1/4 inch spaces again. These are kind of too close together. But I think it's a look. Far from perfect. Okay. For this one, trying to remember, this is kind of a mustard or ketchup orange, and this is a bit more orange, so a bit more red, orange, a bit more yellow orange. But to try to remember which one was supposed to be which. Okay, let me finish this one. Okay, so the trellis, but to do this bit here, I want to give that a minute to dry. So I think this one, I'm going to model after this egg. I only have a white gel pen though, so this is all going to be white, if I haven't already said that. So I can make out this line of whatever it is, these yellow, sorry you couldn't see that, this white line, these yellow marks, a straight white line, some other kind of yellow marks, and another white line. Let me make sure I'm still online. Okay. That's dry. So let me try to finish this one. Which there really isn't much difference between this pattern and this pattern. If I had another source of white ink that wasn't kind of a broad nib like my Posca pen. So to try to bulk up the separating lines before I put in like the trellis, which now I have to let that dry. Okay, so for this one, to try to find the center point and work off of that, so this is 2-inch squares, so that's the center line. That's the center line. And I think to bulk up this line, okay, I'll give that a minute to dry before I play across it, but I'm gonna put in indicating marks on either side. So I'm gonna measure up a 1/2 inch, down a 1/2 inch, and then put the same marks here. So 1/2 inch on either side. Finishing this one. See, I could see the indicating marks before, but now I can't see them. Okay, here. It's not a straight line, it's some kind of bubbly line. So I'm gonna put 1/8" marks to try to form that bubble line. There's probably an easier way to do this. This is just what makes sense to me. Okay, and then here, this is looks like a straight line with a scallop. So there's the straight line. And I'm gonna mark out every 1/4 of an inch to try to mark out where I should pin the scallop to. Okay, this one again. Okay, so for the bubble line, so I'm just doing like a dot and then 2 dots on either side and then a dot. Trying to make it look at least semi the same. So I suppose I could have gotten away with just drawing a line across. I wasn't sure exactly how I was gonna do this. Okay. So to finish this one, Okay, that's that one done. Okay, before I go in to try to create that scalloped edge, I think I'll do this with a regular pencil. So to kind of create a, well, not kinda, I'm actually going to create the same kind of um, diamond pattern, whatever, here with the pencil, but where the lines intersect, I'll go in and create white dots. So to mark out, I might actually have to go for a darker pencil to be able to see it on this darker color. So this is a 2B pencil. So I'm going to mark out 1/4 inch. I used a darker pencil, but it's still kind of hard to see. Okay. Okay, so just where the lines intersect. And then after that dries, I'll go in and try to erase the pencil. Okay, for the trellis, or for the scalloped edge. I think to try to get the scallops looking the same, I'm gonna mark out, make sure I've got the jerker pencil. I'm gonna measure out um 1/8 of an inch. I could just freehand this, but I want to try to make it look at least semi-uniform. Okay, so here is the indicating line. I'm going to use this border line as the next indicator line. So I'm going to arch out from here to the indicating line. Okay, I'm going to give that a minute to dry. I will be right back. Okay. Can't I can't tell if the camera is actually picking that up. It's kind of weird how the camera doesn't seem to be picking up this line. Okay, I guess it is. It's just my view that isn't for some reason. But I'm going to go through and try to erase the pencil here and here. It might be faint enough that it's not noticeable, but I can see it. Okay. For here, I'm trying to decipher what the picture actually has here. I'm thinking hearts. I don't know if that really reads Easter. Maybe I'll leave it as is. I can always add to it later, because I don't see me being able to finish all of these this session. For this one, I'm gonna go for this egg. So there's a space, another lattice like this, or trellis, I guess, and then some kind of shape going on here that I can't make out. So I think I was gonna say a ½ inch up, but I don't necessarily. I guess it doesn't really matter if these patterns kind of line up, because like this line lines up with this line, but it might be a bit more visually interesting if they didn't line up. Although to look at it, this pattern kind of lines up with that pattern. I'm thinking maybe I'll measure up from the bottom. This is a ½ inch. Maybe 3/4 of an inch. And then another ½ inch, which all these patterns together, I suppose it's bound to happen that some of the patterns are gonna kind of butt up against each other. So I'll do that for the pattern, but I just kind of had an idea. Whatever AI artifacting is going on here, to measure down I was gonna say a 1/4 inch, but I think 1/8 of an inch. So I think every 1/4 inch and I'm gonna put in dots. I should have put in the indicating marks here before I did that. So I'll do it from this side. So here I did every 1/4 inch just to separate this out a bit more. I'm gonna do every 1/8 of an inch so the weave will look tighter, smaller. I'll put this pattern in and figure out what to do up here. It almost looks like arrows or kind of sideways L shapes. Okay. I'm not sure what else to put here. So I'm gonna move on to this one, which I'm gonna go for this purple in here. So, excuse me, at least for what I can see, there might be a flower shape here. So I found the center point, and after I put in the other pattern, I'm going to try to measure up and put in a flower, because it looks like there might be more flowers up here. So this pattern here looks a bit like this one minus the bubbly border. So straight line, and then dots. So I'm gonna measure up a 1/2 inch. I guess we'll go a 1/2 inch. And then I think from there, 1/4 inch. So measure up a 1/2 inch, and then a 1/2 inch from there, and then a 1/4 inch. Okay. This is probably going to be hard to see, but to try to create that same lattice work that I did here, so maybe instead of 1/4 inch, I'll go a bit tighter like I did here. So every 1/8 of an inch. Trying to actually see the pencil on the dark color. Like it's shiny, but I gotta get it from the right angle to actually see it. Sometimes wearing this brace just makes my hand itch. Okay. So here, where the lines intersect, I'm gonna put a dot, just like I did here. It's not really what I was going for. They only intersect in the center. So they don't necessarily intersect here, but they kind of touch. Okay, so after a bit, I'll go through and try to erase the pencil. So if I put like a flower here, if I should, because it does look like there's some kind of flower here, to put flower shapes here. So I'm measuring in a 1/2 inch on either side. Okay, so I think I'm straight across here for having my ruler centered straight. So centering this here pulls it up a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to give myself the same marks here to try to keep my ruler straight. So I'll have one here, and then one here, and one here. So this is only a 1/2 inch. This is 3/4 of an inch. So to try and find the center of that space, so I'm going to put in a flower shape here. And then a flower shape here. Not the same flower shape that looks like the reference has. I don't know, maybe that is a bit weird. Okay, for this one, this will pull in a bit of a different pattern. I'm gonna go for this one here, so a kind of zigzag pattern. So there's 1, 2, 3, looks like 4 zigzags. So there's one zigzag here, another zigzag here, and then it's almost like the center zigzag with two. So the center zigzag might be a ½ inch, and then the kind of bordering zigzags are like a ½ inch. So measuring up a ½ inch. Okay. How I should do this. If I measure across a ½ inch for the distance between the V's for the zigzag. If I actually had my ruler straight, would be nice. Excuse me. Okay, so that's every ½ inch for the high point of the V'd zigzag. So to try to get the kind of center point of where the lines come down, I'm going to measure across every 1/8 of an inch. Not every 1/8 of an inch. I'll just offset the 1/4 inch, so it's an 1/8 of an inch from the side, and then I'll measure over a 1/4 inch from there. Okay, I'm gonna put this in really quick just so it makes sense later. Okay, I messed up here. I went from an offset 1/4 inch to an 1/8 of an inch. So let's see if I can do this right. Okay, like that. So to read, which my zigzag is a bit tighter than the reference. I'm not necessarily trying to copy the reference, but we'll see exactly how busy that looks after I do the kind of center zigzag and then the border zigzag. Unfortunately, that's going to have to wait until next time. Excuse me. If you'd like to see the continuation of this, and maybe if you're doodling with me, please make sure that you're following me and that your notifications are turned on so that you're notified for the next time I go live. But other than that, thank you to anybody who watched or watches. I don't know. It might be kind of interesting after I finish this. But other than that, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.